There is a specter haunting the United States.
100%. And his name?
Is Zoran Mamdani.
Absolutely.
Because the centrists, man, the moderates in Congress, of the ones that Zoran Mamdani challenged, got fucking smoked this week.
Absolutely. And it was so great to see. I'm on cloud nine.
Yeah.
I'm like almost as high as I felt when Donald Trump completely conceded to the Iran war and whatnot. More on that later.
Oh, yeah. More on that later, unfortunately. But the bulk of this episode will be dedicated to covering the elections that just happened and the elections that are coming up in the future, the important ones, at least we think in our mind. But to get into the show here, I do want to focus on some cope because one great part about winning an election is not just that, your side or your ideology prevailed in the election, although that's like the main thing. Another good part, at least for me, is the people I hate being in a bad mood about it.
No, 100%. It's so good. It feels so good because it's like it feels so good to gain power.
Yeah.
To get out there and say that my side is winning and doing everything. And it also feels so good to watch people that you hate cope and seethe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, my politics are for the most part motivated by hatred of my enemies. Of spite, hatred, anger, frustration. Yeah, exactly. And so I want to start off this show, because there's a specter haunting the United States, with a tweet from Jaime Harrison, former chair of the Democratic National Committee, and now just kind of like loser who cries about the moderates in the party losing elections.
Yeah, Jaime Harrison, famous for losing.
Yes.
He
got his position because he lost.
Famous for presiding over moderate Democrats losing elections, now crying about moderate Democrats losing elections. Like, buddy, you don't have the answers.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to read this tweet from him, and then we can react. He said, quote, "I say this with no ill will or animosity. If you hate the Democratic Party, then please don't run for our nomination. Don't use our resources. Don't rely on our volunteers. Don't use our infrastructure. Don't ask Democrats to invest their time, money, and energy in your campaign. Focus on building the party you actually support. Political parties aren't perfect, but they're built by millions of people who knock doors, make calls, organize meetings, and fight for the values they believe in. If you don't believe in the party, then don't ask its members to carry you across the finish line."
I love this last part. They're made up by millions of people who knock doors, make calls, organize meetings, kind of like what the DSA did.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like what they did to, one, get Zoran Mamdani elected a year ago, and two, get Zoran's 3 endorsements nominated right now.
It's also like the Democratic Party is in its least popular position in like 50 fucking years.
Yep.
Your own voters don't like you. So do you not want them to participate in Democratic politics because they don't quote unquote love the party?
No,
What
exactly.
are we talking about?
If you hate the Democratic Party, don't run for our nomination. Sorry, buddy. That's not your choice. That's quite literally not your choice. One, you couldn't manage things when you were the head of the Democratic National Committee. And two, people are now running who don't like the Democratic Party, getting the Democratic Party nomination. I think that makes them Democrats.
Yeah.
And if they're getting the Democratic Party's nomination,
exactly.
and they go on to then represent the will of Democratic voters, is that not what the Democratic Party is? The Democratic Party, at least the people who run it, like Jaime Harrison, or who have run it previously, want the Democratic Party to be everything but Democratic. They want it to be pro-corporate. They want it to be Zionist. They want it to be everything that people have come to hate, especially over the last 10 years when we've had Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And that's just not where it's going to go in the future.
I do love like how pathetic this is.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so good.
Like begging, like, please don't run in the Democratic nomination. I think I will.
I think I'm going to. And I think you can't do anything to stop it. It's so funny to say, go start your own party. Because, bro, what?
Well, and that's
then
the other thing.
Bitch at me for doing that, too.
That's the other thing is, like, as pathetic as this tweet is, I do want people to notice the sleight of hand, right? Like, he's saying go and start your own party, essentially. But if you went and did that and then necessarily pulled from Democratic vote totals, guys like Jaime Harrison would get mad at you.
Yes.
So it's like, he doesn't want you in the party. He doesn't want you doing your own party. He wants you to be politically ineffective.
They just don't want you.
That's what the plead is to just be politically ineffective, or embrace this, like, dogmatic loyalty to the Democratic Party that basically nobody has right now, except for the people in Congress who are actively getting primaried.
There's like 3 people that like Democrats across the country right now. There are like 3 people who are cool with what Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are doing. 3 people that at least aren't donors or party insiders that like what's going on right now. There is no movement behind the capital D like Democrats that can carry them over the finish line.
They got no motion.
They have no motion whatsoever. People hate them. Trump's approval rating is continuing to crater, and Democrats aren't getting any more popular. The only people in the Democratic Party that have any sort of motion whatsoever are people like Zoran Mamdani, are people like, maybe even arguing like Abdul El-Sayed in the Michigan Democratic primary. It is these progressive candidates that are running insurgent races across the country that are winning and are hopefully will go on to win.
The only saving grace for the Democratic establishment right now is that the Republican establishment is just about as unpopular as they are. That is the only reason that like Democrats broadly as a political party are poised to win in 2026. 6 on like a generic ballot, for example, because Republicans are more unpopular than they are by like a smidge.
Yes, if we stick
Like-
if we stick with like Jaime Harrison style Democrats, we will continue to ping pong between Republican and Democrat, Republican and Democrat, Republican and Democrat, and nothing real is ever going to change ever, because the current administration will polarize voters against them and they will go to somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's just a cycle you'll see until we eventually get people in office who want to actually do hope and change, but for real this time.
Yeah. People just don't fuck with you, dog. Sorry.
People don't fuck with you,
Sorry,
dog.
man.
And it sucks to hear.
Yeah.
It sucks to hear, but it's not your Democratic Party anymore. It's my Democratic Party.
Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Today is Thursday, June 25th, and we're back bringing you more news. And it's Election Watch Day,
It's
folks.
election watch, guys. It's a brief reprieve from Iran war news because I can't take it anymore.
That's right. It's Election Watch. We had some big victories out of New York City that we will be talking about today. And we've got a slight preview for what is to come. We got some major races happening around the country throughout the summer. Unfortunately, Michigan's isn't done until fucking August.
It's like one of the last ones, if not the last one, right?
I know. It is rough. It is really
sucks.
rough. But we'll be talking Election Watch today. Then we got a little bit of news at the end to round it off. Just some updates on stuff that's happening in Iran, as well as a couple of other, like, I think some SCOTUS decisions just came out that are complete dog shit.
Yeah, they're
And
like
then
just emboldening Trump's immigration agenda.
there's a number of just like explicitly politicized prosecutions that are happening right now against like anti-ICE and anti-Zionist protesters. So we'll talk about that briefly. Maybe some more. Maybe we'll save some of that for the next episode.
In short, there's a lot of things happening out there that aren't very good. However, there was a major thing that happened Tuesday night that was very good, at least for people like us.
That's right. Before we get into it, though, I will remind you that you can get early access over on Patreon.
Guys, you got to.
And you'd get commercial-free episodes, and you'd be supporting independent media. Patreon.com/headintheofficepod.
What better thing could you hope for in a time like this?
That's right.
In a time like this where the New York Times is talking about blah, 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 and all these establishment outlets are going to see what happened Tuesday night, and they're going to be like, yeah, actually, maybe this could hurt Democrats going forward in the future. Blah, 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 blah. Don't listen to that. Listen to us.
Yeah.
And you want to listen to us on time the day we record these episodes, and you only get that on Patreon.com.
It is really funny that like the sort of like center liberal types like Joe Scarsbro in the media have to go like, oh, well, actually, last night's losses were because of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh, my God. That was
It's like
ridiculous.
if a college student would have said that 2 years ago, they would have been deported.
Yep.
But Joe Scarsbro can say it now, and it's just uncontroversial.
It's just whatever.
Whatever, man. Anyways, go over, support us on Patreon. Link is down there in the description. Early access, so on and so on. Also, if you want to participate in our Trevor Project fundraiser, there's only a couple of days left in the month of June, so make sure to get in there, buy a sticker or buy a magnet. All proceeds go to the Trevor Project. Again, headintheoffice.com. Link is in the description. The various other ways to support the show are also down there in the description. Follow on all the social medias, YouTube, and so on. You can leave a 5-star review. We read those at the end.
Yes.
Now it's time to get into the news.
Without further ado, guys, it's election watch.
It's fraud watch.
Some would say it's fraud watch. Some would say Democrat watch.
Yeah, pack watch. Yeah,
It's people being angry and coping and seething in the media watch.
yeah. No, it feels good. It feels vindicating.
Yep. It's one of my favorite kind of episodes to come to the studio and record.
Yeah.
Because I just get to make fun of people I don't like.
Yeah, and like for years, for the entire lifetime of this podcast, we have been arguing for people to run in the Democratic primary on a left economic populist message and against the establishment, and people are finally doing it, and it's working.
Especially in safe blue districts.
Especially in safe blue districts, and it's working, and it's a little nerve-wracking because it's like, okay, we're implementing what I've been saying to do, and many others, of course. Yeah. And so it's like, is this actually going to work? And it's working so far.
It's infinite vindication for guys like us and like David Hogg, especially, who lost his like position as vice chair of the DNC partially over his proposal to
do exactly
primary
this.
do nothing Democrats in safe blue districts across the country, and we're watching it happen. We're watching it be good and cool.
Yeah, no, it's actively working right now. So let's get into it. So there were some major socialist victories in New York this week, including a clean sweep of candidates backed by Mayor Zoran Mamdani. And to be clear, before we like get into the data and the stats and all that, this was a left-wing versus centrist-wing proxy war.
Oh yeah, and proxy war, phenomenal way to describe this. Because it was Zoran Mamdani's endorsement versus Hakeem Jeffries' endorsement.
Explicitly, yeah. Like in many cases, it was the Zoran endorsed candidate versus the Hakeem Jeffries or DNC endorsed candidate. And every single time, the Zoran Mamdani endorsed candidate won.
Literally.
It was a clean sweep.
It was a Zoran Mamdani hat trick.
It's 3 for 3 on the congressional races, and I believe he also won, or the Zoran-backed candidate also won all of the like state legislative races as well.
Oh my God!
So it's just a clean sweep across the state of New York and a big win for Zoran Mamdani. So let's get into the results here. So Claire Valdez won the open seat in New York 7th District, left open by Jerry Nadler with 56% of the vote. She beat somebody who isn't like a centrist necessarily. I can't remember exactly his name, but he's more of like a reformist liberal, I guess you could say. Like, he's not the worst guy in the world, but like the socialist endorsed candidate here won, right?
Nice.
Brad Lander crushed Dan Goldman in New York's 10th congressional district with a 66 to 34% margin. Just like insane, dude.
Just an unequivocal just victory.
Yeah, decisive
right there.
victory.
You cannot slice it any other way. There's no margin of error here. It is just decisively voters wanted Brad Lander and not Dan Goldman, which is gas for a Dan Goldman hater.
Yeah, no, Dan Goldman is one of the, or I should say was, one of the most pro-Israel Congress people in Congress.
Also, just not a human.
A bad guy. He's a social fascist. Like, you know what I mean?
He got up there and like every single clip of him was just him acting like a robot. I don't know, man. I don't know.
In that one clip where he was like, I will take anyone's money.
Yep.
Any corporation, any interest group, you give me money and I'll take it.
My pocketbooks are open for your influence.
I can be bought.
I can be bought, guys, and please do.
Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier narrowly defeated longtime Democratic incumbent Adriano Espaillat for New York's 13th congressional district. And as we said, several state legislative seats also went for the Mamdani-backed candidate. Overall, a decisive victory for the DSA left in New York. And also, I should say, just to be clear, guys like Richie Torres still won on the same day.
Yeah.
Richie Torres did survive his primary. But the point here is that where DSA and where Mamdani focused their resources and efforts, they won.
Yes.
And that, I think, is a pretty big deal.
Exactly. I've seen people talk about the Richie Torres win as like discounting Zoran Mamdani's like impact and discounting the progressive left's impact on these elections. And it's like he didn't have a real challenger. Like Richie Torres' challenger, I believe, was like underfunded, just did not have the support that they needed to overcome Richie Torres. Richie Torres has huge name ID. Richie Torres is like, just people know who he is. There's a whole lot going into that race. And importantly, like you said, DSA did not put their resources in unseating him. Hopefully they do in the future, though, because that guy sucks.
Yeah, no, I think when it comes to stuff like this, right, like DSA, as big as it is now in New York, it does have limited resources, and they do have to select where they're actually going to focus on. And I think they chose the races, which like this isn't like a secret or anything. They chose the races where they think they could have the biggest impact and where their operations could produce the best effect for the DSA movement writ large. And that's exactly what they did, and they were very successful.
Yeah.
And now that they've had these successes, maybe in the future they'll look towards primarying dudes like Hakeem Jeffries, like Richie Torres, and the other Democrats that have obviously not served their populations very well. So right now, as a matter of like in terms of like the post-Mamdani success electorally, the project is working so far, is the point that I wanted to make. And I do want to say before we move on to all the insane cope that we've been getting,
so good.
Dan Goldman and Adriano Espaillat, they're not like the most insane members of Congress for the Democrats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're not like the most evil guys. Dan Goldman a bit more evil because he's even more like rabidly pro-Israel.
Yes.
But Espaillat especially, like he's probably like what, the 50th worst Democrat out of the caucus?
Probably.
But the point is that voters are sick and fucking tired of these Democrats that do not do enough.
Especially Democrats who have been incumbents forever, who you can't point to like things that they've done that are cool.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like good. You know what I mean? Because like, and he also Espaillat's like 71.
Yeah, Espaillat first got elected a year before Daria Lisa was born.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like
that's actually insane.
That's too long in government, dog. That is way too long in government. So even if these people aren't the worst people ever, and I think this applies to Milak Kiros's opponent, Diane DeGette, as well. Like Diane DeGette, not the worst person on the planet, but they have not done enough. They have not been good enough, and now they're being challenged in a way that actually means something.
And they're just being challenged by people who are just more progressive than them.
Yeah.
Which, again, this is a primary. This is where we get to pick
Blue
that.
City.
This is where we get to be super picky about our candidates, is in a primary. That's what the primary process is for. That's why when we enter this coping and seething section, first we're going to talk about Republicans, but especially when we enter the cope and seethe of the Democrats, it is so genuinely insane to see these reactions. Oh, my goodness.
So let's get into it. There's been a total meltdown experienced both by the right wing, which is entirely predictable because they are scared of socialists, and the center left. And I think we should go through some of this because, man, this is good.
My favorite narrative to sort of come out of Republicans, or I've seen it a couple times from like Jesse Waters to other pundits, is they aren't just socialists anymore. They're full-blown communists. It's like, those mean the same thing to your fucking audience, man. What are we doing?
Trump said that too, yeah.
Genuinely reeks of desperation. Like, what are we talking about?
And it's like, cool.
Sure. Whatever.
So what? This first one I want to do is a tweet from Benny Johnson. This is in reference to the three congressional candidates that won, Daria Lisa, Claire Valdez, and Brad Lander. Okay. This is from Benny Johnson on Twitter. Quote, "What we saw last night in New York is a warning to the rest of America of the consequences of importing third worlders who hate us and our heritage. God. Socialists have taken America's greatest city."
Oh my fucking God. This importing third worlders thing has come up a lot. I think that hit the group chat.
Yeah.
I think that hit the group chat because basically every influencer and every pundit used that exact terminology to talk about what these wins happened. It's just white replacement theory.
Yeah.
Just point blank.
Well, and it's like important to note that all three of the congressional candidates that won on the DSA slate were born in America.
Yep.
Like Brad Lander has been in New York politics for decades at this point. Daria Lisa was born in Florida, and Claire Valdez also from the United States. So like, what are we talking about?
Genuinely, what are we talking about? Yeah.
Like, they were all in New York politics. They all contributed to New York politics, and eventually they won their congressional races. None of these people are like immigrants that just got here and then won.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also, importantly, like any immigrants to New York City that may be undocumented or whatever can't vote.
Yeah, that's true.
just can't vote in elections. It's not what's going on right now.
And if they have been naturalized and they can vote, they've been naturalized. Like, I'm sorry.
Those are the rules that have been set about. No, that's ridiculous. But that's Benny Johnson. What about Matt Walsh?
Oh, Matt Walsh took it even further, and I think you're sort of hitting the nail on the head when you talk about like the third worldist stuff got leaked into the group chat
100%
for them to spread. This is Matt Walsh on Twitter, quote, "Third world communists are the enemy.
Okay.
They've taken over our greatest American city. They're taking over one of our two major political parties. They hate this country. They hate white people.
Okay.
They hate our heritage and traditions. This is the fight. Get in the game or go away."
Motherfucker, these are people that want like healthcare.
Yeah.
These are people that want healthcare, want to sever their relationship with Israel, and want to like do otherwise like progressive things. There's nothing about the. Oh my God, it's so fundamentally ridiculous. And this third world communist too. These guys are unironically like one step removed from dropping Maoist third worldists as like just in earnest.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about? This is absurd.
Yeah, no, and it's again, like I can't emphasize how much all of their campaigns were just like, hey, everyone should have healthcare. Hey, you should be able to afford stuff. Hey, we shouldn't fund genocides overseas.
Exactly.
Like it's like MAGA built so much of its political psychology off of being quote unquote America first, and then they're confronted with people that genuinely do want to see Americans doing better, and they freak the fuck out. They cannot handle it. America first is all just code for like, yeah, we should get rid of all the brown people. And it always has been, but
America
it's never been
first
clear.
has always just been code for white people first.
Yes.
My very
Yes,
specific
yes.
brand of white people first. It's insane. And while we're talking about white people first, we got to talk about Jesse Waters.
Oh, maybe the white person.
Maybe the whitest guy on TV right now. I don't know. Many are saying this, not just me. I'm just repeating what I've heard. But we got to play a clip from him that I believe happened on Fox like sometime after the election. Oh my God, this is a fucking banger. I need all of you to sit down before we listen to this one because it is so fucking good. It's going to be about 34 seconds, so bear with me.
Crazy communists to right-wing tough guys. Is that how America is supposed to be?
Maybe.
Because that's the way it looks. These people don't believe in borders, capitalism,
Gas.
our
Huge.
founding
Banger.
fathers.
Huge.
They're here to steal, punish us, and then throw around welfare.
Dare I say banger.
This is a third world takeover. This is what happens when you import the third world. Did you know that New York City is 70% non-white?
Insane.
40% foreign-born.
Insane stat.
50% of the apartments, they don't even speak English.
Genuinely insane stat to drop right there. New York City is 70% non-white. Jesse Waters is just getting on air on Brendan Carr's FCC airwaves and saying New York City is not white enough, and that's why we're getting this. What are we talking about?
Exactly, because New York City has always been an immigrant city.
Yes.
Like for all of its existence has consisted of immigrants. And now Jesse Waters is just taking issue with the fact that there's not enough white people there. Come on,
like,
man.
you can't even say this is a dog whistle masterclass because this isn't a dog whistle anymore. This is just a whistle. This is a bullhorn going out there and saying we need to make America whiter. We need to make New York City white again, as if it ever was. I don't really know. And saying that these, like, what is happening? How have we gotten to a point where we can allow Jesse Waters, where it's like accepted in American politics, to go out here and do this? Aren't we supposed to have progressed further than this?
Yeah.
Like, this is the common theme here is this communist third world that's coming in here, which they don't even fucking know what they're talking about when it comes to that. And also, things are not white enough. Yeah. They are telling you to your face that we need a whiter country.
Yeah.
And I have to pretend that this isn't insane?
There's not a whole lot of analysis to do there other than to say, like, hey, you're Hitler.
Yeah,
like,
no, exactly.
Like, what else am I supposed
and it's
to
also
do?
crazy to like prelude that, or before you say New York City isn't white enough, to go and say like, oh, they don't like our founding fathers. Oh, they want to do welfare. Yeah.
Those
are pretty good things.
Yeah. The right wingers have been doing this thing where they throw out a bunch of like good stuff and try to make it sound nefarious.
Yeah.
Like the RNC, I think, or like the Senate campaign arm of the Republicans just put out this ad against Abdul El Sayed where they were like, he wants to give everybody free health care. And it's like, yeah, sure. Sign me up, buddy.
No, especially after the New York City elections, I've seen a whole lot of people, specifically on Fox News, Just go out there and deliver. This guy wants to give you free healthcare. Free. That's all these Democrats want. Yeah.
It sounds good.
Sounds phenomenal to me.
Good, man.
I would love that. Oh my goodness,
I'm
man.
glad you guys understand what's going on.
100%. And while we're on the topic of things that sound good, I got to play you a Laura Ingraham
Oh,
clip.
this one's good, man.
Because holy shit, is this an absolute banger right here.
Because if we turn our government over to a bunch of Democrat socialists, Israel will be treated like South Africa was in the 1980s. It'll be boycott all the way.
Oh no, my steak is too juicy and my lobster's way too buttery, bro. No.
It's like, yeah, that's the idea.
And it's also like, is there an implication here that it was wrong to do that?
Yeah,
that,
no,
that it was
that's-
wrong
yeah.
to treat South Africa like that in the 80s? I don't know.
Guys, they'll be treated just like apartheid South Africa, where we got the word.
Guys, we'll treat this evil thing like an evil thing. Like, what are we talking about? Genuinely, what are you supposed to do with this? These people, the right-wing commentary has devolved to a point where it is genuinely beyond parody.
Yeah.
Because they are just saying evil is good and good is bad. I don't know.
No, literally, like they list like a good thing the Democratic Socialists want that is like broadly popular across the country, and then they try to make it sound like evil and nefarious. And here, she's not even trying.
Yeah.
She's just saying like, oh, Israel will face justice for what it's done.
Yeah,
oh no.
Apartheid South Africa, famously great thing. Famously thing that everybody was super supportive of. Come on.
Like,
man.
how is this not just like Nazi news? Like, I'm sorry,
Basically.
this is just a fascist news network, and it has been for a long time, right? Like, this isn't a new revelation. But if they can get out here with this take from Laura Ingraham, just running cover for Israel, comparing them to South Africa, but like supposedly parentheses good.
Yep.
And then Jesse Waters saying that just explicitly racist thing about New York is too non-white.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but like they're just fascists, man. I don't know.
Because there's no way to slice this. And it's so crazy that like dads across the country are captivated by this.
Yeah.
Like dads across the country are at least like, what is it? Like 30% of them are just glued to the TV watching this shit. How do you take this in? Like it gets to the point where it's like in my head, it gets to a point where it's like, how are you not just like, either they're brain broken or you're inadvertently convincing them that like these candidates are actually cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how it's got to be like I genuinely don't know how to talk about these things in a more like analytical way.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do still think it's fairly effective for the white suburban Hitlerites to be shown a video of like Abdul El Sayed, and they list off all the things he wants and frames it as scary because he's Muslim and they're still predisposed to be scared of
That's
Muslims.
true.
You know what I mean?
This is incredibly true.
Even if they get out here and list a bunch of things Abdul wants that like specifically these white people want, but they put him in like black and white imagery and they use a deep voice to make him seem scary, they will like, I still think that's unfortunately effective for a lot of people, but I think that the number of people that works on and that style of politics is losing appeal specifically because guys like Zoran, guys like Abdul, people like those that just won in New York are actually offering something substantive now.
Yes.
Like it's getting harder and harder to make the case that like Abdul's a big scary non-white guy when he's just like, I want you to have healthcare.
But like part of why I feel like this has to be support for like this style of thing has to be dwindling is because there were a lot of Trump Zoran voters.
That's true.
And there were a lot of Trump Zoran voters that were like are like happy with what he's doing.
Yeah.
So it's just like I don't know, man. We're in an uncomfy spot right now with what Fox News is comfortable putting out in the airwaves. My goodness.
Mainstream media and social media platforms are, of course, increasingly controlled by a very small group of billionaires, and yet despite it all, Hito remains your number one independent news and media source. If you want to support independent media at a time when it is so desperately needed in this hellish news landscape, please consider becoming a patron over on patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Link is also in the description. Not only would you be supporting the work that we do, which is so very important, you also get early access content, commercial-free episodes, access to our postcard program, and a whole lot more. Patreon is the longest enduring way and the best direct way that you can support us quirked up Midwest white boys, so please consider becoming a patron. We'd be so grateful. And again, link is down there in the description. And now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
So that's the right-wing response. Those are, I think, sort of emblematic of what the right wing was doing over this past week. But of course, we got to talk about our Democrats.
Oh, of course.
And it's the far more interesting component.
Made way more funny to me.
Oh, way more funny.
Way more funny to me. Blah, blah, blah. Fox News is a Nazi. Jesse Waters is a dickhead and Laura Ingraham's a Nazi. Old news.
Yeah, old news.
Old news.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows. But we got to talk about our liberals. So Hakeem Jeffries accused these candidates that just won of only being able to win with these high-income white voters, which is a sort of narrative that's been advanced by a lot of the Democratic Party's like establishment defenders, right? Trying to sort of discredit these candidates candidates by saying, oh, they're only supported by these white folks with these lofty ideas. They can't actually win with the core of the party, which is like non-white voters, low-income voters. That's sort of the narrative.
White voters with fake degrees, that's the only people they can get. They sound like Republicans.
Yeah. But and we can get into the stats here. So each of the non-Mamdani backed candidates, so those that ended up losing in the election, did win the lower income areas, quote unquote, vote as tabulated by the New York Times with about 90% of the vote tallied. We should note that like the way they're counting this is by like by neighborhood essentially. They're not counting it by individual. It's aggregated based on like the area itself. So there might be a low income area that's just like high wealth and inequality. You know what I mean? So fucking whatever. That's the way they're doing it. You can look at the source if you want. It's down there in the description. But should say on top of that, Daria Lisa won an outright majority of the black vote or majority of the vote in black areas. Claire Valdez and Brad Lander both won majority Hispanic areas, and all three Mamdani-backed congressional candidates won with young people.
Oh.
So this narrative that like these Democrats, the Democratic Socialists, or those backed by DSA, weren't winning with key constituencies is just bullshit. Like he's just lying.
Absolutely. And it's also just like winning bigly with young people. Isn't this part of what the Democrats invested like $20 million last year into finding out? And then Zoran wins young guys hugely. Yeah. Abdul is polling with young people hugely. Zoran-backed candidates win young people bigly. I think we have the answer to what energizes the youth vote to get out there.
Yeah.
To how you win over the youth and how you win the future of the party over. It's right in front of our faces.
I should also say, for all those that are sort of touting this like racialized narrative, Daria Lisa and Claire Valdez are not white.
Yeah.
And Brad Lander himself is Jewish, right?
Yeah.
So it sort of breaks the narrative that the DSA or the left insurgency in the Democratic Party is just a bunch of like white atheist people with these lofty ideas that are ultimately ineffective for government but are popular among like rich academics. It's not the case. And it's an attempt by the Democratic establishment to discredit the movement as like, I don't know, out of touch with the people or out of touch with the base. It's just not true.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Like these were all like, they're like regular people that decided to run for Congress too, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, what is it, Daria Lisa? She was a sociology student.
Yeah.
Like beforehand, I'd seen people like attack. I saw this one clip where she's talking about how like she cares so much about affordability, and she was like motivated to do this run because of her experience with affordability in New York City as a 7th-year PhD student. And people were making fun of her, being like, "Oh, exactly. Of course, you ran into issues with affordability. You were a 7th-year PhD student."
Yeah.
Are we not supposed to have those?
Dude, New York's got like a trillion high-profile universities.
Are we not supposed to have people that want to study?
Yeah.
Like, are we not supposed to have people that want to be educated? Of course, when you're conservative, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Because then you lose all your voters. But like, Jesus Christ, man, these people can't help but run face first into the wall when they try and be relatable to the average person. Because the fact that PhD students make what, like $35,000 a year?
Oh no, they're
is
broke.
insane.
Like the PhD students are fully broke.
Exactly. And in New York, like I have a friend at Columbia. He's getting his PhD right now. He makes like $50,000 a year, which sounds like a lot, but in New York, it's not.
Yeah.
Like it's not that crazy. He lives okay, but it's like you run into issues of affordability.
Oh, yeah.
You know how much rent is in that goddamn city? Oh my God.
No, it's ridiculous. I think the narrative also sort of discounts the work of all the people of color in these campaigns that put like blood, sweat, and tears into getting these people elected.
Yeah.
Not even just focusing on New York City, but like you look at Pennsylvania, for example, Chris Rabb and Summer Lee, two black Americans that won bigly in their races. Like, are we just like ignoring them as members of the party that participate in like progressive style politics? I don't know. It feels like a very strange narrative. Well, and trust me, I know what I look like. I know I'm a white guy talking about this, but it's like, it just doesn't match up to reality and feels like a very cynical way to discredit the very real, growing, progressive sort of segment of the party.
And that's exactly what it is, because we're going to run into this thing when we talk about the Democrats, like establishment and moderate Democrats' responses to what happened on Tuesday night. We're running into this narrative where it's like they will do anything that they can to discount progressive policy as being a reason why people went out and voted for these people. Yeah. They will say it's, oh, they only want X kind of voter. Oh, they only did this. Oh, this only happened. They will say anything but acknowledge that people maybe want progressive policy, especially in the bluest districts in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, and they tend to hyper-focus on these, like, very strange nuances or critiques as a way to, like, discredit a Daria Lisa or a Claire Valdez type candidate when it's like, the things that they ran on are just broadly popular.
Yep.
Like Medicare for All, broadly popular, especially in a place like New York City. Medicare for All has got crazy approval among Democrats. Daria Lisa and Claire Valdez both ran explicitly on Medicare for All.
Oh, crazy.
Cutting off aid to Israel, extremely popular. Believing Israel did a genocide, extremely popular in the Democratic Party. Espaillat did not acknowledge the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, they're just more aligned with the base of the party in the party stronghold that is New York City. So, like, what are we talking about?
These moderate Democrats, they cannot change and adapt to the times, so they are kicking and screaming and fighting to hold on to, like, any little bit that they can to keep their donors happy, to keep their moneyed interests that they serve happy. It's crazy. And another person I want to focus on here is New York Attorney General Letitia James. She said that other political colleagues have expressed that they are, quote-unquote, disappointed in Mamdani's push to change the party.
Bro, whatever. Why can't you just support all these sauceless losers,
Literally,
bro, please?
oh no, why can't you support my candidate that nobody likes? Fucking ridiculous. James said, quote, all of us are a little frustrated with the Democratic Party, but you don't blow it up. That's what MAGA has done. Comparing Mamdani endorsed DSA candidates winning primaries to the MAGA takeover of the Republican Party is just incredibly funny. Because, like, unlike establishment Democrats, MAGA and Mamdani have won and are winning.
Yeah.
They are doing what you are supposed to do in politics. They are doing what Democrats and Democratic consultants have told me I need to focus on as a progressive when it comes to doing politics, and that's winning elections. And now that progressives are winning elections, it's doing everything we can to discredit that. I think this is also incredibly funny, and this is going to be another theme that we run into of just throughout the episode of Democrats comparing Mamdani or progressives to Trump. Democrats don't know how to run against anyone that isn't Trump right now because they've been running exclusively against Trump for so long.
10 years.
It's ridiculous. What is problematic about MAGA's rise to power within the Republican Party is not that MAGA took over the Republican Party's infrastructure. It's that they wielded that power to do evil things. It's actually quite admirable that you had a group of people come over and hijack a major political party and change it to mold it in however they wanted it to. And I would love for Mamdani's wing of the party to do that to the Democrats so that the Democrats actually do good, righteous, and holy things.
Yeah, it's like MAGA is responsible for revitalizing a failing Republican Party that did not know what to do with itself after Mitt Romney lost in 2012. They lost to Obama twice and they were fucking lost.
Yeah.
Like after the Romney lost in 2012, fucking Sean Hannity was on air saying, okay, maybe Republicans got to become pro-immigrant. Like, that they have experienced a decade-long reckoning at this point, and that happened because of MAGA and because of Trump's efforts. It's like, yeah, maybe we need that same thing to happen, but in a positive direction, in a way that isn't openly fascistic.
And when MAGA took over the party, when MAGA got that, like, phony populist shift that they had been, like, clamoring for, and they won power with it, they actually wielded that power. Of course, they wielded it to do evil things, but I think that Democrats could stand to learn something about the Tea Party takeover or the MAGA takeover, and they should learn something about how to go out and how to energize your base, and they should learn something about how to fucking wield power.
Yeah, and the best part about it is that the sort of DSA progressive aligned candidates don't need to lie about what their agenda is, don't need to lie about the problems, and can use power in such a way that is representative of what the broad population actually wants, right? Trump has to make up innumerable lies about immigrants and the threat of Iran and the threat of all kinds of different things as a way to rationalize and justify what he wants to do, which is ultimately expel this country of everybody except white people, right? Like, that's the ultimate goal of the right wing. But when it comes to, like, the DSA and the socialist aligned candidates, all they got to do is tell the truth about the problems we're facing, that we have an unprecedented level of organized money bearing down on us, trying to extract every bit of wealth it can from this country, and we should do something about that in such a way that's like, I don't know, maybe you should be able to afford the basic necessities of life.
But establishment Democrats who are pissed off about what Mamdani did will never recognize that, because they will never, like, internally reckon with the idea that the status quo is broken. Nobody likes the status quo, and they will just continue to defend it no matter how they have to twist and contort themselves. It is crazy.
Oh, I can tell you right now, if Abdul El-Sayed ends up winning the primary, they're going to say, okay, but let's see if he can actually win statewide in a purple state. If he does win statewide, if he ekes out a victory, they're going to say, oh, it's because it was a blue wave year. And if he wins comfortably, it's going to be, oh, it's because it was a blue wave year. Like, they're never going to give us the dub. We have to stop asking permission and just seize power.
No, we have to take it. That's exactly it. We have to take it. Another reaction here from longtime Democrat Rep. Vincent Gonzalez of Texas, quote, I think we have a lot of more organizing to do on the ground, especially in places like New York and California, places where DSA is being more influential, and we need to educate young people. We need to get more people, young people, involved in more moderate policies, just the way the other side has, and run strong campaigns. For moderate and establishment Democrats, again, a win from the left is never about policy energizing people, and it's only about, like, doing X thing to run a campaign.
Good social media video.
Good social media people. To moderate and establishment Democrats, it's all about finding the one secret weapon, the key, the X factor in the individual campaign that will get you over the hump no matter what your policies are. They will never recognize that moderate policies are just not popular.
Yeah.
When we're talking about running good campaigns, because people do give it to the left. Moderate Democrats will say like, oh, they had a good ground game or they did this. And it's true. But no matter how many doors you knock, you can knock every single door across the entire country.
Yeah.
And when people open those doors, if you go to them and you say, hey, I want your healthcare to be the same cost and people who are poorer than you to have maybe slightly less expensive healthcare, but don't address anything beyond that, they're going to slam the door in your face. And they should slam the door in your face because the only thing that these Democrats energize is like healthcare CEOs.
Yeah, that was the fundamental thing after Zoran Mamdani's win
Yeah.
in both the primary and the general election, right? It's not just that he has good video. It's not just that he can talk well, although both of those things are true. It's that he had policies that people fundamentally wanted.
Yes.
And they were simple, they were understandable, and he ran on them relentlessly, and he was also a hateful dickhead to Andrew Cuomo, which is another important component here. It's like, you at some point, you do have to acknowledge that like your policies are just dog shit. But they fundamentally can't, because to do so would do two things. But one, it would undermine the power of donors who have been pushing for those policies, and it would undermine what the party's fundamentally about, which is appealing to the same capitalist overlords that are causing the fucking problems on every fucking issue that we face.
Yeah, and with Mamdani's win, to win the mayor of New York City, weren't they saying he knocked like 1 million doors?
Yeah.
If you knock 1 million doors and you say a bunch of bullshit, you're going to get 1 million doors slammed in your face. You have to have the policy. It's not about just good social media. It's not about reaching out to voters. It's about appealing to them.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing that Democrats don't want to do. And it's so frustrating when you go around and you look at consultant types who, again, just tell you, this is the key. This is what you need to do. You need to craft your message in this way. You need to go reach people in this way. You need to spend X money on this thing. You need to have X volunteers do Y thing. It doesn't work, dude. You just have to go out there. You got to be a person who believes things, and those things you believe have to be good.
Yeah, the strategy is ultimately secondary to what the message actually is.
Yes.
And the message has to touch on the fundamental material conditions of people's lives. And if it doesn't, it'll either turn people apathetic and they'll just tune out, or they'll look at you and be like, what the fuck are you offering? Like, and those people have won in the past, right? Like, you can unfortunately win in politics by offering nothing.
Yeah.
But we're at a point where people are angry enough and people are upset enough with the establishment, disillusioned, that they're looking for something else. And that explains why these candidates are doing so well these days.
I feel like the gatekeepers for so long stopped people who want to offer something from getting into a place where they can challenge people who offer nothing.
Yeah.
And it's that reckoning that we're watching in real time. Once again, infinite vindication for like David Hogg and his project of unseating people in safe blue seats. Because that's the thing, like ultimately here, is these are like, especially Chris Rabb's seat. Chris Rabb, safest, most bluest seat in the entire fucking country. Seats in New York, incredibly safe, especially in these districts right now. These people will go on to represent New York. It's not really a fucking question.
Yeah.
Why can we not have our most progressive people represent our most progressive areas? Why do our blue strongholds have to be strongholds for the establishment? Why are they not strongholds for the things that the base believes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know, man. Another sort of narrative that's come off of this is focused in on Daria Lisa specifically.
Incredibly funny.
Sort of hyper-focusing on some of these older tweets and some maybe the problematic stuff that she said in the past. Her woke 1.0 stances, if you will. And some of the stuff that she said about Ukraine. Like, I think there's one tweet out there of her saying essentially like NATO like egged Russia on to go and invade Ukraine, which like obviously that's bullshit. You know what I mean? And you can have your disagreements with Daria Lisa or Brad Lander for that matter with his Zionism, as we'll talk about in a moment. But tell me, in a race like this, what's the alternative?
Exactly.
You want me to vote for the establishment shill who has no sauce? I'm not doing that.
It's like a Plattner situation,
Yeah.
too. And it's like the thing she said, like you said, they were very woke 1.0. God forbid a candidate get a little woke with it in 2021. I know we all were. Like, what are we talking about right now?
There's
that was
an
like
image
the
of Nancy Pelosi kneeling with a kente cloth.
Everybody was a little woke with it in 2021,
Like, come on, man.
guys. I think, like, culturally, we just kind of moved on.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, once again, this proves that, like, Kamala Harris with the ACLU questionnaire question, you just don't engage with it.
Yeah.
You just move the fuck on. You either, like, have a public record of you changing that you can defend on, or you stand on fucking business. And that's what we see right here.
And standing on business, I think, really is the move, because it's like, if you have these old tweets, but they're at least, like, and maybe they're edgy, maybe they're like a little woke 1.0 and it doesn't fit the vibe anymore.
Yeah.
But at the very least, they're based in, like, the principles that you still hold, then it's a lot easier for people to write that off. But if you say something and then you just never can defend it because you never actually believed in it, then you look like a chronic flip-flopper, which is the problem for Kamala Harris.
I also think it's funny that, like, some of the Darley's tweets tweets were crazy, bro.
Oh, they
That
were.
shit
They
is
were.
so funny. The fuck Kamala Harris one is gas, but some of
that's
those
awesome.
2021 takes, holy shit, man. But it's like from Dara Lisa to Graham Plattner to Jay Jones.
Oh, yeah.
It does not matter what you say. It is so funny that people hate Democrats, like establishment Democrats and Republicans so much right now that you can have a record of like talking about killing your opponent.
Oh, yeah.
Being the wokest motherfucker on the planet, or being like a Blackwater soldier with a Nazi tattoo,
Yeah.
and it does not matter because people believe that they espouse progressive views that would represent them. It's so funny that we're in that position right now.
No, like the New York City elections really prove that you can have posted anything on social media in the past and voters do not give a shit, dude.
Man. If you're running for office, keep that shit up, King.
Yeah.
Like that's what you need. There's no such thing as a deleted tweet. You ought to just stand on business or just don't do anything with it, because holy shit, people will find out anyway. So why not just let it hang on the profile?
Yeah, and like the same thing applies. It's sort of a different lesson out of Lander because he is still a liberal Zionist and talks about himself in that way. He said as much that he's a liberal Zionist. He supports Israel's right to exist and stuff like that. But Dan Goldman truly is a fucking psychopath on Israel.
Yes.
So I think it's a pretty big deal that in one of the most Jewish districts in the country, Dan Goldman is ousted by another Jewish man, specifically because of Dan Goldman's like slavish support of the state of Israel.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, feels like a good thing to me.
No, it does feel like a good thing. And I also got to say on this like social media point, on this like keeping tweets up point, I think it is interesting and kind of profound that it's like in this political environment, the flawed candidate isn't the one who got a little too activist with it in 2021 or the candidate who said some regrettable things in the past. It's the candidate who stands for nothing and will run for nothing and will ultimately do nothing for you. People do substantially care about policy right now rather than like aesthetic abrasion from candidates past or like anything that they've said before. And that's a reckoning that I think Democrats can't deal with because again, these moderate Democrats, these establishment Democrats are built on nothing except maybe a couple petty aesthetic disagreements.
Yeah, and that's one of the other important things right now is like Dan Goldman ousted specifically because of how like Zionist he is, even though like I said, Brad Lander himself is a Zionist, but much less of a fucking psychopath about it. And Espaillat as well, like a key issue in that race was his support for Israel. Like I said, Espaillat isn't like terrible on every issue. Like I said, like 50th worst Democrat if you had to rank him overall or something like that. But he took thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from AIPAC. There was like $600,000 funded from funneled from AIPAC into the super PAC that was supporting him or something like that. Crazy amounts of money. And on top of that, he ignored Mahmoud Khalil when he was arrested. Like that was district. He did nothing for it. AOC had to come over from her own district and try to argue to get him out of jail. And that was one of the main attacks from Daria Liza on him was you did nothing for Mahmoud Khalil. You did nothing when the fascist state was cracking down on our people. So it's like, yeah, these issues are important even if foreign policy is not like at the forefront of everybody's mind. The fact that you're not willing to stand up to AIPAC, to moneyed interests, suggests a weakness overall that people no longer are willing to tolerate.
It's almost as if the issues of our time are the issues of our time.
Yeah.
And you either got to put up or shut up. You have to contend with them. You can't just run away from one of the most important things that's happening. Just in general, that's happening in the entire world. You have to engage with it, especially when your base cares about it, as Democrat voters have so clearly established that they do.
Yeah, like one of the major lessons here, whether you like it or not, is Israel and Gaza is a litmus test.
Yep.
Like and I don't mean that in the sense of like it's a litmus test that we're advancing or the media is advancing, but it's one that voters fundamentally care about. Again, not because foreign policy is at the forefront of everybody's mind or is the most important for everybody. In fact, I doubt that it is, but because your willingness to stand up to groups like AIPAC, your willingness to stand up to moneyed interests speaks to how well you will represent them on every other issue. And if you can't stand up and say, I'm not in favor of sending infinite money to Israel, I'm in favor of, at the very least, like conditions on this aid.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, then it suggests a moral rot that, again, people are no longer willing to tolerate. Like it's a key issue here, especially when you have candidates like Claire Valdez and Daria Liza that are willing to make it a fundamental issue. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's almost as if like people should have listened.
Literally, it's Israel does matter. Your stance on Israel, the issue of our time, your stance on the genocide in Gaza is more important than getting a little too woke in 2021. I don't know, man. Like, and I think that's a good change. I think that's an important change for our politics. I think that's a hopeful sign for the future that people care a little bit more about some substance.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Also, another one of those sort of age-old narratives that popped up, people saying like, like, oh, well, it's New York City, so of course socialists can win, but you can't replicate this anywhere else. That narrative will be tested very soon.
Absolutely.
This notion that left-wing policies, left-wing economic populism specifically, can win nowhere else other than these blue strongholds will be a thesis that is tested very soon.
Yeah.
First, with Mila Kiros in Denver, although Denver is a blue city, of course. If she wins, I think it will be another important sort of node in the DSA's argument against the establishment of the Democratic Party. Then, of course, the Michigan Senate race, which is probably the most important of the bunch right now.
I would argue that the Michigan Senate race is going to be the most important election, at least for people who are progressives or rock with progressive ideology, which seems to be most of the Democratic base in the entire country right now.
Yeah.
Because that is the swing state, a state that Trump won twice, where a progressive Democrat is running statewide for a Senate seat. If he goes and wins the nomination from Mallory McMorrow, just a do nothing, stand for nothing, fake progressive Democrat, and from Haley Stevens, evil,
as we'll talk about,
that says a lot about Michigan Democrats, and that says a lot about what Michigan Democrats want. And if he goes to win that nomination, and then if he goes to beat Mike Rogers, that says a lot about what the people of Michigan want broadly. And then you don't have to listen to all these consultants that are saying, "Oh, you guys can never win in the swing state. Oh, you guys can never do this." There was a tweet that went around this week as a result of the New York City elections that I thought was just genuinely hilarious. It said, "DSA candidates are not going after purple or red districts. They are running in reliably left districts and cannibalizing their own party." One, it's a primary. That's what you're supposed to do. Literally the democratic process at work. Again, Democrats don't want their party to be democratic. And two, we've got a Democrat. Is Abdul endorsed by DSA?
No, I don't think he's not running on like the DSA line.
He's not running that. He's not running as an out socialist, but it is undeniable that he is a progressive. It is undeniable that he is cut from the same cloth as these DSA candidates across the country. Maybe he wants to stay away from that from a swing state, but either way, ideologically, he is the same, despite what label is going on. And he is running in a purple state. The purple list of states in the entire country. That's going to be a big bellwether for whether or not progressives genuinely do take control of the country.
Also should say, like, I feel like everyone's forgotten about Graham Plattner.
This
like
is true.
He did win the primary outright, and it wasn't a question about who. I mean, he won enormously. He won so big that Janet Mills had to drop out, and he's also like Abdul. He's not like a DSA backed guy, but like he is a part of the sort of like left populist insurgency, as problematic as he may be in some instances. But it's like he won handedly. Like Janet Mills never stood a fucking Janet Mills, the Democratic governor who was elected statewide before, didn't stand a chance against some random guy. Like that to me speaks to, I don't know, some problems the Democrats are having in relating to voters.
There is quite literally a progressive insurgency. I wouldn't call it exactly the DSA insurgency. Maybe that's localized to New York, but broadly the things that the DSA stands for are winning across the country. And you can't deny it. It's undeniable, or at least it will be undeniable should Abdul El-Sayed go on to win in Michigan. Oh my, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, also another one of those narratives that I really like is like, oh, socialists are a tiny fraction of the party. Like, so therefore you can't like extrapolate what socialists are trying to do everywhere. And it's like, yeah, they're a tiny fraction of the party. Like progressives always have been. In every country, in every single era, progressives have been fighting an uphill battle to make things more equal or more fair or more morally acceptable. Like that is like, the mission of progressives.
I don't even think you can say that socialists are a tiny portion of the party anymore. That's something that I feel when I go out there in the world and I go talk to people. I don't talk to many people who are doing the thing that I do, where it's like I call myself progressive just to avoid labels or what. You know what I mean? But Harry on CNN, they talked about favorability ratings among Democrats right now. Socialism in 2010 was at 50% favorability and capitalism was at 51% favorability. In 2025, socialism hit 66% favorability among Democrats, with capitalism hitting 42%. That is 2/3 of Democrats believe that socialism is a net favorable for this country right now. I don't think you can say that it's just a small portion of people right now. I think arguably, not even arguably, if I'm looking at the statistics, if I'm looking at the data in front of me right now, support for capitalism is the smaller portion of the country right now, yet that's not reflected in our representatives. I think what we're seeing right now is a correction towards what the base actually wants, because we have people who are able to run, who are going and running, who actually, I don't know, want to represent the base and not corporate donors.
Yeah. And I'm hesitant to call this like the Democrats' Tea Party moment, because like, I never want to underestimate the power of capital to snuff out competition against it. You know what I mean? Like there is so much money behind protecting the status quo and existing hierarchies. And progressives, like I said, always face an uphill battle. But it is inspiring that like all the Mamdani back candidates are winning. Abdul's in the lead. Milat Kiros is polling ahead. Like, I don't know, man. It feels like something's happening.
Yeah.
I don't want to get out ahead of it and, try to make a call early, but hey, it feels right.
But also, it's like from that same CNN segment where they're talking about how socialism broadly, Democrats fuck with it, 2/3 of them.
Yeah.
The net favorability ratings for DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, is plus 17 points right now. The favorability of congressional Democrats, plus 4.
Well, there you go.
Like, there we go. We have where the base wants. We know what the base wants. Yet I got to listen to guys like Jaime Harrison saying, go make your own party. Fuck you. What are we talking
How about
about?
you go make your own
How
party?
about you go make your... Exactly. You're kicked out, buddy.
Yeah.
You're kicked out, loser. Oh, my goodness, man.
Anyways, I believe that wraps up New York, unless you had more to say about it.
That wraps up New York, but I do kind of want to, like, zoom out, right, and think about what this means for the future, because clearly some things have been shaken up. Clearly, like you said in the beginning, it was a proxy war between the Mamdani endorsement and the Keem Jeffries endorsement, and we got the DSA endorsement winning out. I think I think broadly in less solidly blue districts across the country, I think we are going to see an epidemic, and I mean epidemic, arguably pandemic, but we're restricted to the country, of Democrats trying to distance themselves from the left flank. Because so much of the analysis coming out of the night was that, Republicans are going to use this as an attack on moderate Democrats across the country to try and associate them with like the Dara Lisa tweets from 2021 and try and polarize them against their base or whatever voters, whatever independents or moderate Republicans are trying to grab.
It's not going to happen.
I just I don't believe that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, man. It's not a real thing. Like, do you really think that on a debate stage, like the moderators are going to be like, how do you feel about Daria Lisa from New York's 13th congressional district?
I don't think it's something that will actually land. But that's never stopped the Democrats from capitulating.
That's true. That's a great point.
I think we are about to reach a critical, and I mean critical mass of Democrats capitulating to the right-wing narrative when it comes to performative condemnations of New York socialists.
If our Democrats didn't capitulate in advance, would they be our Democrats?
They wouldn't be.
They wouldn't be our Democrats.
That's exactly what it is. But I got to say to these Democrats who are going to capitulate in advance, if a voter in a swing district in, say, like Montana, or wherever swing district you want to put in the country, says that they will not vote for the Democrat in the race because they think the Mamdani candidate wins in New York, mean that the party is too extreme, I think we have to question if that person ever would have voted for the Democrat in the race in the first place. Yeah. If that's the level of engagement with politics that they're going with. I just feel like we got to put that out there.
If they already have like a full formed opinion about Zoran Mamdani and they're comparing their candidate without any prompting to Zoran, it's like well, first I have to ask, does this person exist?
Yes.
How many people are actually like this? And like you said, if this person fundamentally does actually exist and they're like a principled centrist, quote unquote, oxymoron probably. I don't know. Like, does having them in the party really do anything?
Well, it's like, I think we're talking about like independent voters who are like swingable here, which is like, if they're swingable because of something like that, you never were going to get them.
Yeah.
Like, they were always going to go to the Republicans because they were always going to believe that Democrats are the crazy communists, not socialists now. Like, whatever the fuck it is Fox News tells them to believe. Like, it's just like, I think I am starting to reject the idea that shit works. And I've been rejecting it for a little bit, but it's like, I'm not an elections nerd, so I would love to hear other viewpoints of people who do dive more into the fucking crosstabs of everything that comes out. But I have to question the idea of moderating to win tough districts, even if that is even real.
Yeah.
Like, on as broad of a scale as Democrats tell me that's real. Because we've watched Democrats show their true colors over the past year when it comes to all these progressive wins, right? Mm-hmm. We watched the vote blue no matter who narrative completely, like, crumble and fall apart. And we've watched them say they will not vote for progressives. We've watched them say they will not vote for these anti-Semites that are anti-Israel, despite the vote no matter who. And what we've learned from that, what we've learned from Democrats dropping the veil, is that Democrats never believed in vote no matter who. It was just a way for them to get you to vote for them and shut up.
Yeah.
That's always what it was. It was always a way to get progressives to shut up and vote for them so they could court right-wing voters.
Yeah.
So why would I not start to think that the Democratic consultant advice of you have to be a moderate if you want to win in a quote-unquote moderate place is the actual advice that we need to go with going forward? And I know that I can't extract that conclusion from what happened in New York or what happened in Pennsylvania because those are reliably blue districts. But have we ever tried? Have we ever had a candidate that was well-resourced, a progressive candidate that was well-resourced, go out there and try and win in Montana? I'm not going to say that it's not the right advice for the right district across the country. Of course, there will be districts where you're not going to win without a moderate Democrat. But I don't know. I'm starting to kind of even question that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the closest proxy would be Dan Osborne in Nebraska in 2024.
Yeah.
He ran as an independent, but he was sort of more of like a left populist guy. He had some weird opinions on immigration. He very much was like an independent, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And he lost, but he lost by less than a lot of previous Democrats lost in that same state. And it was a red wave year.
Same thing with
in
Afton
2024.
Bain. I can't remember
Yeah.
where exactly she ran, but that election just happened. Same thing with her.
Yeah.
Like she ultimately lost, but she made up insane ground.
And an interesting test case for this will be Will Lawrence in the 7th District here in Michigan.
That's big,
because
yeah.
he's running as a left populist, like damn near just FDR New Deal Democrat
Yeah.
type. And if he wins his primary, that's as purple as districts get in this state.
Absolutely.
And if he manages to pull that out over Tom Barrett, I mean, a lot of people will write it off as like, oh, well, it's a blue wave here,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. But that'll test the thesis if you really need a moderate Democrat to win in these quote unquote purple districts.
Exactly,
So-
but I think too long we've just kind of taken that advice because it makes sense on its head. And I'm not going to argue that again. I'm not arguing that in some places that's not what you should follow. But I would have to argue that like, have we ever even really tried?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I'm still sort of on the wave that like moderate voters don't exist. You know what I mean?
That's kind of
Like,
what I'm getting at with this.
I think a lot of people, if you ask them, would think of themselves as moderate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when they say they're moderate, it means like, I want Medicare for all, and I want to preface this because they've been inundated with lies about immigration, and I want mass deportations. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And also,
like,
when it comes to this, it's like not all of this can happen right now. Not
Yeah,
all
of
of this
course.
can happen next cycle. Of course, sure, the Democratic consultant advice is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
They go out there and they say the things that have like worked historically, or they make up narratives to try and piece together something that has worked historically to get it to work then. And when it doesn't work, it's never their fault. And when it does work, it's because of the things that they said,
Yeah.
right? And in doing that, after a couple cycles, you end up creating the narrative that you had already made up in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You end up creating this idea, but by having a Democratic Party that runs in a red state, you create this, and having them follow the advice that they need to just be Republican light, you reinforce the idea that they need to be Republican light. There needs to be time to break from doing that before you can actually like say whether or not this moderate voter exists or whatever. But ultimately, I guess what I'm getting at is this idea that we've been saying for a long time, Democrats have never really tried, at least in my political lifetime, the time that I've been following politics, to break from right-wing framing and be a party that offers their own vision for the future and be unwilling to be beholden to the things that conservatives try to stick them on.
yeah, I think a couple of things on that. I think like if you ran a sort of like socialist type, like a left populist type in West Virginia, for example, I think the issue there wouldn't be so much that like they want moderation, and more so just blind partisanship, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of it is cultural. Like if your parents voted for Republicans, you vote for Republicans, and that ends up applying to like the whole town and the whole district and the whole state and so on and so forth. So like a lot of this is just habit. People vote for Republicans or Democrats a lot of the time based on habit. But like I think the platform of democratic socialists, right? Medicare for all, higher minimum wages, stuff like that. That is widely appealing. And that has been the thesis of this entire show, basically.
Yeah.
The idea that like these policies, as we always reference in like 2020 or 2022, these policies tend to outpace the Democrats or Republicans on the ballot. Famously, I think in 2020, $15 minimum wage got higher approvals than Joe Biden or Donald Trump in the state of Florida.
Yeah, and then Joe Biden goes and wins the presidency, and they can't do $15 minimum wage.
And they don't do $15 minimum wage, right? Like, so these policies, these ideas, these values are fundamentally popular across the board because they are constructed in reference to the material conditions that most people face throughout the entire country, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is struggling with low wages. Everyone's struggling with grocery bills and housing bills and healthcare bills and so much stuff like that. So I think the left economic policy proposals have broad appeal. It's just a matter of getting past that partisanship in a lot of cases.
It's getting past partisanship, and it's getting past labels.
Yeah.
Like, of course, if you run, I'm a communist in West Virginia, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you run as a guy who's progressive and you want Medicare for all and you want the things that the left wants, the DSA wants, I think in the right environment, I guess, you would have a better chance than moderates would have you believe. The sort of thesis of this idea, no matter how off base that it may be, is this idea that Democrats have set politics up, specifically Democratic Party politics up, so that they always win no matter what.
Yeah.
And they will always discount progressive wins no matter what. And they will never give it to you on policy.
Yeah.
And we just do not have an environment where we're allowed to try.
And like my other critique of the moderates, like this notion that we have to run moderates in order to win these swing districts so that we can actually have majorities. My critique of this, and it's one that we've been talking about over since Trump won, honestly, is that like, even if you do have these moderates that can eke out victories in these purple districts or even red districts, it ultimately doesn't matter if you can't pass anything because they are being moderates and are opposed to like popular policy.
We talk about it with Joe Manchin all the time.
Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema passed like the bulk of what Biden, quote unquote, wanted to do. Who knows if he actually wanted to do it? But they blocked so many things that it prevented Democrats from constructing a coalition and a constituency around the policies that would have carried their project forward in the future. And instead, since they couldn't do that, Trump fucking won again. So it's like, even if we do win in these swing districts and we get majorities that last 2 years or 4 years or something like that, it ultimately doesn't matter if there's not a coherent political project to come out of it, because then we can't keep the right wing from winning again by default. So like, at the end of the day, I don't really give a fuck if a moderate can win a swing district if they're going to go on and vote against things that we actually need to pass.
No, it's like 100%. And it's like, God, like having the majority, I will concede, like, is important. Having that power is important because you can advance things, you can do things, but it's only important to an extent, because what you're sacrificing in the long term by having like a mix of like blue dog Democrats that just literally just hold back progress, what you're sacrificing is the next election. And that's literally what we saw with Joe Biden. Of course, there was anti-incumbency that you need to factor in. Of course, there was a COVID recovery that you have to factor in. But broadly, people rejected Joe Biden. People rejected the Democrats because they didn't do the things that would have made people's lives better. And there was nothing people could point to outside of the bad that they could point to that wasn't his fault that gave them a reason to go out and vote for his successor.
No, exactly. Like you if you want to win continuously, you have to establish a program that people can get on board with. And this is what New Deal Democrats found, right? Like when the New Deal was constructed, it created entire constituencies around policies like Social Security and the jobs programs that they created and so many other things. And like the New Deal was flawed in a number of ways, right? And we can be honest about that. But there were still constituencies created around these policy proposals and around FDR's project that carried the party forward for decades. And the party has abandoned that since. And there hasn't really been a real project aside from just like neoliberalism that everybody's tired of. So what are people supposed to latch onto? And what are these, what does winning majorities actually mean if you can't do anything with it? That's why ultimately, like, I obviously winning majorities is important. Like you just need it structurally in order to get anything done. But it's sort of secondary to actually establishing a project that can carry forward progress and keep fascists out of power. Because let's be clear, like fascism doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes out of the economic anxieties and frustrations people are having that the fascist scapegoats onto marginalized groups that they direct the state power against. And if we want to unearth that and defang the fascist movement, we have to have an actual politics that addresses the issues that people are facing. And right now that just doesn't exist in the Democratic Party.
There are structural barriers in the Democratic Party that are stopping us from moving away from moderation. Like that are stopping us from moving away from moderation for moderation's sake, which isn't even moderation for moderation's sake. It's moderation for the sake of their corporate benefactors and the moneyed interests that back their campaigns.
And everybody knows it.
And everybody knows it.
Everybody knows it.
Everyone is tired of it. No matter where you are, literally everybody is tired of it. And ultimately that's what I'm getting at there. As far-fetched as the idea that you don't need to moderate may sound.
Let us know if it's a truth nuke.
Could it be a truth? Who knows?
But like we said, a lot of these theses will be tested very soon, right? Like if Graham Plattner wins in Maine, then I think like if he wins over Susan Collins, that'll be a big deal. If Abdul wins in the primary, then the general, that'll be a big deal. If Maillat wins next week, I think that'll be a big deal as well.
Do we just need, when it comes to the Senate race, do we just need a flip out of Maine or Texas and holds in Michigan and everywhere else, or do we need flips in Maine and Texas?
I think Texas is different because, you're talking about like holding the Senate.
Yeah, I'm talking about to take control of the Senate.
I think we need both.
We need both? Oh, that's fucked. That's crazy.
I know we definitely need Maine because Maine's more likely than Texas is to flip. But politically, which is the way I was going to take it first, is like I don't think anybody actually believes we're going to win Texas. You know what I mean?
That's
like
true.
I think everyone's lying when they're saying Tallarico's going to win for sure.
Shit, I think even I'm lying when I say that. Like I look at the polls.
I want him to.
I get excited when I see that he's like the polls are within the margin of error, but ultimately it's Texas.
It's Texas, and Texas is a failed state, just like California. Quite honestly,
big, huge.
But as we were talking about, Michigan is probably the most important Senate race for the future of the Democratic Party, right? For what the referendum will be on the direction that the party is going, because Michigan is a blue wall state. It's a purple state. It's a state that Trump won twice. It's a state that famously Bernie Sanders won in 2016 during the Democratic primary. It's a very interesting, confusing state. So whoever wins this, I think, will offer a decisive answer as to which direction the party is going to go in the future.
Yeah.
And Abdul is sort of the centerpiece of all of this. And I think the positive victories for the Mamdani-backed candidates in New York City sort of portends doom for Haley Stevens. Even though, like they will all say, New York doesn't directly apply to Michigan. I would disagree with that in a number of ways.
Yes.
But that is the argument they'll make. I still think this is bad news for Haley Stevens in a couple of ways that we should talk about.
That's part of why, because that's the Alyssa Slotkin line is, what happens in New York is New York. That's not what's best for New York is best for New York. That's not necessarily what's best for Michigan. If Abdul wins, obviously it doesn't prove that what's best for New York is best for Michigan, but it proves that you can't discount progressivism on being only viable in blue strongholds.
Yeah.
Like that's what that is. That's part of why this race is so incredibly important.
That narrative is also sort of telling because it's like Democrats, like democratic socialists win big in places where there's tons of Democrats.
Yeah.
Does that not mean that the socialists are more in tune with what the party itself wants?
Yeah, ain't that the base? Like, shouldn't places like New York City be like the testing ground for what the party does in the future? And when something wins big there, you take it to another state and be like, okay, I guess we're gonna try this.
Also,
now.
like, I would love her to explain what is so different about the needs of New Yorkers and the needs of people in Michigan.
No, for real.
Like what is so fundamentally different about the lived experience of working people in New York City versus working people in Detroit?
If anything, the needs of New Yorkers are exacerbated compared to the needs of like working Michiganders. The cost of living is crazy everywhere, especially so in New York. Affordability is crazy everywhere, especially in New York.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like what is it about, I don't know, investments in public transit like Mamdani wants to make, or freezing the rents that wouldn't apply to the economic needs of Michiganders?
Or free childcare.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's total bullshit is what I'm
100%.
trying to say. But focusing back on the Michigan race here, because again, we're Michiganders, but I also do genuinely think this is the most important
Even
race
if I wasn't a Michigander, I would think that Abdul's candidacy is the most important candidacy that everyone should be focusing on and should be donating to right now.
And I think that his opponents low-key agree with that analysis too, because McMorrow has pivoted to attacking Haley Stevens.
So funny.
And Haley Stevens has pivoted to attacking El-Sayed, suggesting that they both think El-Sayed is like the major front runner here, right? Yeah. Because if McMorrow thought that she needed, because in a three-way race, right, you got to be strategic, especially if you're in last, about who you're going to attack so that you can get ahead and at least be in the top two so that you can actually compete with the other person. Yeah. When it's like a first past the post system. So if I'm McMorrow and I thought Stevens was in the lead, I'd be trying to knock El-Sayed out so I could eke out a sort of lead over him so that it could actually be a head-to-head between me and the other person. But McMorrow's pivoted to attacking Stevens, so I think the opposite is true. And Stevens attacking El-Sayed suggests that she thinks she's in second, meaning El-Sayed is in first. And Mike Rogers seems to agree with this analysis because he's also been attacking Abdul. He's the Republican candidate for Senate in this state. And so it just sort of adds to the consensus that Abdul is indeed in the lead. And polling has suggested this as well. And I'm guessing all of their internals suggest the same thing. So right now, it seems as though Abdul is in the lead in the polling.
Yes.
That is the sort of thing I'm
everywhere you look, it seems like Abdul is in the lead. He's got the Abdul momentum.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we've attacked McMorrow plenty. Whole episode about it. I would do more, but she's falling. And everyone says that she's been cratering since she said that thing about Hassan Piker. But I'll remind you,
arguably,
around that exact same time, she backed out of an interview with us. And before that, actually. And
you guys have let her know. You guys have let the people who see her comments know that she backed out of our interview. So who knows?
Yeah, so I'm going to claim victory for that one.
If she drops out or when she loses, even before claiming victory for Abdul winning, I'm claiming victory for McMorrow losing.
Yeah.
It's more important to me as a person.
Now, I do think, so we've talked a lot about McMorrow, so I think we should focus on Stevens for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because Haley Stevens is now like the main candidate or the main competitor to Abdul El-Sayed, so I think we should talk about Haley Stevens a little bit more.
And like the only reason that Haley Stevens is in this race is one, like name ID for being a representative. Yeah. And two, insane amounts of money that have poured in to support her candidacy.
Yeah. No.
Not from people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been actually pretty bad. So there's been tons of ads and commercials for Haley Stevens going around featuring Barack Obama. Okay. Like Barack Obama in like the first few seconds of these commercials. And to be clear, she is not endorsed by Barack Obama.
It's such loser shit.
She just throws him in her commercials.
Yeah.
And the primary ad that I've seen that most people have been focusing on is one paid for by United Democracy Project, which is also a super PAC of AIPAC.
Surprise, surprise.
So it's like the main ad featuring Haley Stevens right now is one that also slots in Barack Obama and is paid for by the pro-Israel lobby.
You gotta love it, man.
Like, come on, man.
There's such a mix of just things there.
Yeah.
Like that is Haley Stevens, I think.
Yeah. AIPAC associated groups have been spending millions on behalf of Haley Stevens. She's also accepted thousands of dollars from SpaceX in her previous campaigns. This was recently reported, I think, by MSNBC or something like that. And she's transferred that money over to this campaign, meaning that she's spending like Elon Musk SpaceX money to win this campaign.
Oh, we love that. She's funded by Musk money and AIPAC money. Evil. Two things that don't get much less evil than that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What is it? Like it was $5 million million in May for ads to just assault your ears across the goddamn state, and $2.5 million for the first half of June.
Something like that, yeah.
And we don't know the numbers. And I believe
it's too much.
Way too much money for advertisements that nobody wants to see.
Yeah, no, I've been getting her a lot on my YouTube. It's low-key a wealth transfer
have to
program.
get the YouTube Premium.
No, I'm
I'm
getting radicalized into it, man.
I've been blissfully unaware of a lot of this, and I've been happy for it. The only time I see a Haley Stevens ad is when people dunk on it on Twitter, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's the natural order of things, people. But Stevens also recently, while we're talking about her attacking Abdul, made just a talking to camera video where she said this, and I have a great clip to play. The text of the tweet is, "I'm not a millionaire, at Abdul El Sayed. What are you hiding?"
Not a millionaire, but last time I checked, you were. Why don't you release those tax returns? Let us see who's paying you and making you rich.
Tax returns in 2026 is genuinely insane. Asking for tax returns is insane. What is he, Donald Trump?
Come on, man.
Genuinely, like, what are we doing? We're just replaying old things. Once again, she's treating running against Abdul like how Democrats treated running against Trump, because the only thing that Democrats like Haley Stevens know how to do is run against Trump.
Yeah.
They don't know how to run against somebody who actually believes things. They don't know how to run against a progressive, so they're just replaying old hits that, like, didn't even really work.
Also, like, guys, I promise that's not what Michiganders sound like.
Yes,
she tries
100%.
to claim that that's a Michigan accent. It is not.
And Haley Stevens trying to talk about nefarious money being poured into somebody is a generational instance of the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
You can't do that, and it's baseless. It's just incredibly baseless. There's no reason to think that Abdul has money because he's getting paid for by. I don't even know what could be more evil than AIPAC. Like, I don't even, like, it's not a realistic thing. It's baseless and sauceless, which is what Haley Stevens is.
Yeah, Haley Stevens is like, where's your money come from? Meanwhile, AIPAC is running ads deceiving voters into thinking Obama endorsed her.
Well, what are we talking about? Haley Stevens is like, where's your money come from? Well, maybe she can ask, where's your money come from? Because everybody knows publicly that all her money comes from AIPAC and AIPAC affiliated.
It's on the
groups.
FEC reports.
Once again, Haley Stevens being the most outwardly evil candidate perhaps we've ever seen.
And it's like, so a lot of this drama circles around Abdul apparently asking for an extension on filing his 2025 taxes. Like, that's what all of this is
Which
about.
I think she's done, like, every other time.
Haley Stevens has done that before. Many candidates have done that before. You can say it's like a shitty thing for candidates to be able to do, whatever, but it's like, even if it came out that Abdul had, like, I don't know, $5 million in his checking account, what, am I going to vote for the AIPAC shill? Like, I'm sorry, but
exactly.
Like, it doesn't change anything.
Literally.
So, I don't know. Whatever.
No, it's incredibly stupid. It's an incredibly baseless form of attack, and it's so emblematic of Haley Stevens and the type of Democrat that she is.
Yeah.
It is just, chef's kiss.
You know,
man.
she is just bought. Like, fully, she is just bought and sold. But that's the money. That's the money. We got to ask, what's going on under the hood ideologically?
This is true.
What is it that she believes about the world, if there is such thing as a belief in her head?
Surely there's a lot. I mean, we've seen the way she attacks Abdul for money. Surely she's got a lot to believe, right?
Dude,
Give me your tax returns.
It is really funny that Stevens is like, attacking Abdul for money when it's like you have like $1 trillion in AIPAC spending on your side, and then McMorrow's attacking Abdul for being Arab. And I'm not even exaggerating. Mallory McMorrow was just on CNN, and she was asked about her attacking Hassan Piker like a month and a half ago or whatever. And then she was like, my opponent Abdul decided to bring Hassan to the state after a shooting at a synagogue.
Oh my God,
it's like, bro, what you're saying? Like,
two unrelated things, by the way.
Like an act of anti-Semitism, and you decided to bring an Arab guy here?
As an Arab guy?
Like, come on,
who can believe these Arab guys, am I right? Me when I'm Mallory McMorrow? Oh my goodness.
Like,
not a good look for her, especially after her campaign manager or whatever said, yeah, we're talking to rappers to try and reach out to black voters.
Dude.
Like, there's no, oh my goodness,
it's
man.
like moderate Democrats like McMorrow really do just become rabidly racist when they're in the back. Yeah. Like when they're on the back foot. It's so funny.
Just like broadly, it is so funny to me when we watch like attacks from moderate Democrats or like these groups that are quote unquote dedicated to stopping anti-Semitism go out there and accuse something baselessly, usually it's pro-Palestinian or anti-genocide, of being anti-Semitic, while then following that in the same tweet with something that's just violently anti-Islamic.
Yeah.
Like, it's you clearly do not care about prejudice. You clearly do not care about being principled in this. You just care about, like, I don't know, supremacist ideology, or you care about being anti-Muslim.
Yeah, no, you're just a bigot. Like, that's all this. I think we reached the singularity of that with the tweet that I saw, I think yesterday. There's this account called Stop Anti-Semitism that in a tweet called Brad Lander a parasite.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so sick. For beating a Jewish man.
For beating Dan Goldman.
Dan Goldman.
Yeah.
Brad Lander, a Jewish man, by the way. There were so many attacks against Brad Lander for unseating a Jewish man when he is also a Jewish man.
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? I saw so many people call Brad Lander a self-hating Jew. He describes himself as a democratic Zionist.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like what are we talking about, dude? What are we talking about? To appease like the Israeli lobby or the like Mark Levins of the world, you genuinely have to go out there and be the most just nonstop Netanyahu dick rider.
Yeah. Anyways, getting back to Haley Stevens here, some people like to pretend that corporate money doesn't, like, taking corporate money doesn't rot your soul or anything.
Yep.
So I think it's important to address her on the issues. And she rarely has very much to say about the issues. But there's something very interesting that I saw. And I can't like go so far as to say like I can confirm this 100% because this was just on some dude's Substack, but he said that he was talking to the candidates. So I'm going to trust that what he's saying is real.
And also, it's in line.
Yeah.
Like, also, it's not a far cry
So,
to think she said this.
This is from Mike Lux on Substack. He says that he spoke with Stevens and he is like a Democratic consultant and a Democratic strategist.
Okay.
So it makes sense that like he gets on the phone with these kinds of people, right? And this is a quote from his Substack that I thought was quite revealing. He said, quote, Stevens volunteered the observation that Democrats should not be looking to do big things right now. She said we need to be modest in our policy goals, quote, not try to pass big programs like Social Security.
That's insane, dude. Moderate Democrats love to go out there and say, we need less change. We need some things, and we need status quo.
Social Security is by far one of the most successful federal policies of all time.
If you're looking for a big policy to act as your North Star to show other people that big policies are good and popular, Social Security is the policy
It's
to point to
extremely
for
popular.
that. It's like, it's the thing.
It's also supposed to be like one of the hallmarks of democratic progress, like Big D, Democratic Party making progress. It was a part of the fucking New Deal.
Yes.
Like you should be excommunicated from the party for even thinking shit like this.
It is a pillar of American society. Social
Yes.
Security is.
Yes. It's one of the best things our government ever fucking did. Like I have critiques of the program. I think it could be better in a number of ways, but I'm glad it exists because it's one of those programs that like instantly solves the issue that we were facing, that being elderly people falling into poverty instantly.
These people cannot separate themselves. These people cannot stop themselves from going out there and telling you that your life will not get better under me. Better things are not possible. I will not do anything. And they expect your vote.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like, dude, I can't express how much that should get you kicked out of the party like right away.
Yeah.
And
it's supposed to be political suicide to come for Social Security. And I know she didn't come for Social Security, but
yeah, she's not coming for Social Security, and she says that she wants to protect Social Security. She's just saying we shouldn't do anything big like Social Security.
we shouldn't have anything else.
Yeah.
Social Security is the end-all, be-all for progress, and it happened 100 years ago
And
or
it's
whatever.
like, yeah, people really do like Social Security. It polls very high, like up there with Medicare, for example. But it's like, imagine going up to a voter and saying like, oh yeah, we got Social Security. Things are getting better after that. Like where we are,
Guys,
I will preserve the status quo.
Guys, progress is over. History
Yep.
ended. Fukuyama eats your heart out, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Just insane, man. Anyways, that closes out our election watch for today. Let us know if there were any sort of nuggets of cope or victory that we might have missed.
Exactly. Because they're so good.
Yeah,
and
they're
it would
good,
make
man.
me smile.
Inject
to see
it
them,
into
man.
my soul, man.
It's another instance of kicking my feet. Who knows what horrors await us on the Monday episode?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's kind of what happened last week, too. On Thursday, I was kicking my feet.
Oh, yeah.
I was on cloud nine. I was on top of the world. On that Monday hit, that all was taken from
Yeah,
me.
no, the Monday downer.
So who knows what's going to happen this Monday?
That's true. That's true.
If you've been itching to join the Hiddo Hive Mind, or you're simply looking for a community that shares your values and love for this very podcast, you need to join the official Head in the Office Discord. Not only is this a growing community of more than 1,000 people, it's also a place where we host community game nights, field input for the show and our other endeavors, engage in doom spirals and hopecore together, and much, much more. If this is something you're interested in, join the Hiddo Discord. The link is down there in the description. It's completely free, and your new best friends await. Now back to the show.
Well, speaking of what we might have to talk about this next Monday is that the Iranian negotiations are off the rails again. As of today, I believe, or maybe yesterday, Israel said, hey, we're staying in Lebanon, by the way. Iran responded in kind, obviously. I saw some stuff about oil tankers getting blasted at off the coast of Oman. So it's like, yeah, negotiations are falling off the rails once again. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe they're just doing this for market close tomorrow. I don't know.
what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, what am I supposed to do when I hear that information except just sit and wait?
Yeah.
Sit and wait for the goddamn New York Times Daily Update article on Iran. Sit and chain myself to my
Yeah.
fucking desk as I wait for the news to change by the goddamn second, dude. What is going on? Like, there can be nothing to stop it. And I guess Monday's episode is just geared up for another rant on separating ourselves from Israel.
Yeah.
Who'd have
prepare
fucking
yourself,
thought?
friends. Another thing we might be talking about next week, because I do think this is pretty important, is these politicized prosecutions against ICE and Palestine protesters. Yeah. There's one that's happening right now out of Pennsylvania. I believe the Swarthmore 9. They did an encampment, and the university cracked down on them, and they were all arrested, and they're all facing like 1 year, up to 1 year in jail right now for like doing the shit that everybody else was doing.
Yeah, baby.
So very bad stuff. And then there's also some stuff happening from ICE protesters who I think launched off like a firework or something that malfunctioned and then hit a cop, and they're all facing like 50 years in jail.
I thought like somebody shot a cop or something, and they're like,
no, I don't think it was
trying to
intentional.
Oh yeah, oh, damn. Okay, interesting. I just know the only thing I really know about the case right now, I haven't read too much into it, is from Rachel Cohen's TikTok.
Yeah.
Shout out our mutual Rachel Cohen, and she was talking about how one of the people who was arrested and I believe charged to 30 years in prison,
The book club guy,
guy, took zines out of the apartment where he, like, his partner or someone who lived with him was more involved with the protest. And they said, hey, can you get these left-wing zines out? And so he got the left-wing zines out. And then they arrested him for something about, like, hiding evidence related to a prosecution and 30 years in prison for moving some fucking magazines.
It's illegal to be in a book club.
It's illegal to be in a book club. It's illegal to read. Oh,
yeah.
My goodness.
No, so not great. Maybe we'll check in on those on the next episode, but the bad shit happening in Trump's America. And then lastly, of course, SCOTUS decisions. They've essentially gutted the asylum process. I think what they've said is that you have to be in America to declare asylum.
How are you going to get there?
You can't be at the border. And
exactly. How are you going to get there?
It's like the Supreme Court's policy is now you have to outsmart Border Patrol in order to declare asylum. Like that is explicitly policy.
No more app?
No, I don't think so. They're saying you have to explicitly be in the United States, meaning you have to sneak yourself in order to be able to declare asylum.
You have to hire a coyote to get you across the border, to get you a part of the treacherous parts of the desert, to get in, sneak through that fucking border wall, and then you're good, and then you can claim asylum.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there's also, I believe they gutted TPS as well, meaning that like the
they did?
Haitian immigrants and Venezuelan immigrants, they came in here under TPS are about to be kicked out.
Why?
I'm guessing they just affirmed like Trump's power to do this because like TPS is ultimately like an executive thing. So they're all about to. I should also note that like temporary protected status, it wasn't just that like they came here and then we offered it to them. We offered it explicitly
to get them
with
here,
the
right?
intent of them coming to the United States. So we essentially invited them just to then kick them out.
Nice.
It's stupid, man. It really sucks.
It is genuinely crazy how like the lives of people can just be uprooted because of a change in one administration and one like executive policy that is often a boon because the Haitian immigrant was it
Springfield, Ohio.
They're eating cats and dogs.
Yeah.
That was Springfield, Ohio, Haitian immigrants, right?
Yeah, that was the lie against them.
Uncharacteristically, or not uncharacteristically. That's crazy. Wild misspeak right there. They were fucking uncontestedly just like a boon economically for the area.
Undeniable.
Just a good thing that happened to Springfield, Ohio, revitalized the town. Whatever, man.
Yeah, like
whatever.
When your red town is failing, you do need like more people to come in and start working, and that's
classic,
what they did.
Classic. They get the. Oh my god, dude. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do?
I don't think we got a birthright decision yet because if we did, I feel like the country would probably end.
Oh yeah, birthright decision. So, that's whole episode right there.
Oh, yeah.
That's whole episode material right there. And it's to the point where it's like, what do you do?
And I low key with all like the Iran stuff happening and then election news, I did forget that we were getting SCOTUS decisions. Like now's the time.
I forgot that we were getting SCOTUS decisions too. Low key election news. I was geeked about it. I forgot we were in a war right now.
Yeah, for a moment.
For a brief moment, I had a brief reprieve, and then I'm crashed back to the reality of Israel wants to kill people in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Surprise.
And we can do nothing but help them, apparently. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this episode, which means we got to read our 5-star reviews and then thank our patrons. If you want your 5-star review read, you know where to go. Leave it on Apple or Spotify, and we'll get to it.
And also, let us know if you're leaving app reviews and they're just not fucking showing up, because when I look on Apple, last review I see is from June 6th. What's going on?
Yeah, that's weeks ago.
What's going on? Nobody wants to review during Pride?
Yeah,
are you guys protesting the gay logo?
What the hell?
What's happening now? It's like
that's all I can assume.
It's like when I see a new TikTok from the Detroit Lions, and then people in the comments are like, yeah, "Fucking whack logo." That's what you guys are doing to me right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you'd have thought everybody here would be woke, but I guess not.
Yeah. So we don't have any from Apple today because I guess everyone's protesting.
Everyone must be protesting.
I guess they're mad we went woke or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. If you're not
go woke, go broke. That's what's happening.
If you're leaving them on Apple and they're not showing up, just let us know. You can DM it to us. We got got one here DM'd on Patreon from David. 5 out of 5 stars for my quirked up white boys from the Midwest.
Yes.
As the government siphons away my tax dollars from public radio to spend on losing illegal wars, it is more important than ever to have a reliable source of news. Thanks to the efforts of President Donald J. Trump, being a Wednesday weenie now means the news is outdated by the time I hear it.
It's fucked up. It used to not be like this, guys.
I show my gratitude to the greatest president of all time by subscribing to the Hito Patreon to ensure the news is always up to date as possible. Thank you, Donald Trump.
Guys, I feel like it used to be like maybe like once a month. Or like once every 6 weeks.
Yeah, we'd be like, oh,
where
Hito
we'd
curse.
drop an episode and then it'd be immediately like done. Like the biggest one that I remember is we said on the episode, Tucker Carlson's not leaving Fox News.
Yep.
On the next day, lo and behold, Tucker Carlson gets fired from Fox News. But that didn't happen too often.
Yeah.
Now it happens twice a week.
Yeah.
What am I to do with this?
Yeah.
What's a article head supposed to do? How am I supposed to keep up other than being chained to my desk? This next one, moving over to Spotify from Aurora. 5 historical events repeating themselves out of 5. At the time of my comment, very important caveat, Congress has passed a symbolic vote for Trump to take troops out of Iran. Seems late, but sure, why not? And he's canceled the signing of the bipartisan housing bill. Another thing that we didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
That shit is crazy. I'm so tired. Me too. I condemn all forms of political violence and apparently all people's named Benjamin. Yes, even you. You know what you did.
What did Benjamin do?
That's for one of you. That's crazy. Much love to these quirked up Midwestern white boys. Keep up the great work.
Damn. Next one from Kaylin Everly. 5 invites to the Billionaire Legion of Doom out of 5. Your podcast is a breath of fresh air between all the diehard MAGAs and 12-year-olds who have unrestricted internet access, and my Democrat parents who are elated that Gavin Newsom might be on the ballot.
Are you elated? We found the 2.
Yeah, we found them.
We found the 2 American voters who are happy with the Democrats right now.
I'm not sure who I'd be more annoyed with as a presidential candidate, Gavin Newsom or my governor, Josh Shapiro. Ooh. Much love. They probably will both be in contention, so brace yourself.
Obviously, like, having a family of people who are like Gavin Newsom supporters rather than like crazy MAGA people is like obviously better.
Marginal improvement.
But part of me feels like I'd just rather deal with the MAGA. You know, sometimes you would just rather deal with the uninformed Republican than the wrongly informed liberal.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's liberating to like understand your enemy. Right?
Yeah.
Like we know what's wrong with MAGA.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Gavin Newsom, like people are convinced that he's actually doing something for people.
Crazy.
So I don't know.
Actually insane. This next one from Emma. 5 out of 5 episodes per week. Hold your horses. I am no longer a Wednesday weenie, but I will still drop by to comment as I see fit. Please don't unionize or translate a Ben Gavir tweet. Guys, we're being union busted by our bosses right now.
Next one from Daniel. 5. We're almost there, guys, out of 5. Big fan of the show and hoping to cure my Wednesday weeniness in the near future. Yes, I listen to every episode, including the interviews.
See, this is big, guys. More you need to be like this.
As always, shout out to my goat, Abdul El Sayed. Please don't unionize. In fact, do more work. 3 episodes a week, from Boss Man.
Hold your horses.
Yeah.
Hold your horses. I don't know about that.
I'm on my union break.
Yup. This one from Jack Thornton. 10 out of 10 again. Jerry and Gay laughed a little too much for how lame all of the world is right now. Love watching the big DOC, the big doc. Abdul look cool and hot
So
right
true.
next to my favorite cool and hot pod boys the other day as well. Abdul for God 2028.
Wow.
I'm going to keep writing homoerotic reviews for the rest of my life. Can't wait to see what sucks. What sucks, huge beaner next week. Love from the Talafrico state. Oh
Good
my
luck,
goodness,
man.
having a Talafreak off here.
This last one from Rusty. 10 out of 10 Tulsi Gabbard. Political career being guided by her cult leader. I don't even know what that's about.
I don't either, but probably true.
But I believe it.
I believe it. You know what? I'm choosing like as my like halfway through 2026 resolution to believe everything I hear about my enemies that's bad, and believe everything good I hear about people I like that's good.
Does really make the process more efficient.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That I don't have to think too hard about this stuff.
I'm choosing to selectively pick information that I believe based on how much I like the person it's about.
Yeah.
You know what? That's just what everyone else does.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into my flow state, quite frankly, and I can only do that by thinking less about my axioms.
I'm seeking out things that confirm my own biases, and I'm disregarding things that don't.
Got to streamline this stuff.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. It's easy.
I'm streamlining my hate.
And
That's going to make my life easier.
Streamlining my hate and maybe arguably redirecting my hate a little bit from Mallory Morrow and to Haley Stevens, although it's less fun.
It's a lot less fun.
It's a lot less fun.
Because it's like Haley Stevens is just evil.
It's fun when she drops stuff like she did just now, which Social Security, blah, 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 and Abdul, show me your tax returns. Like, genuinely, that one threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
If you made it this far in the video, comment down below tax returns.
Yeah.
Comment down below, show me your tax
Drop
returns.
your tax return.
But drop your tax, exactly. DM us your tax returns, and maybe we'll read it on a third episode of the week.
Yeah, so
just kidding.
So we can know what money you're working with and why, and we can take a guess as to why you're not a patron.
Yeah,
already.
exactly. And then I can go and I can see why hasn't $10 per month been deducted from your HSA to go towards the Hito Patreon? Because Lord knows in these trying times, that's a health expense.
That's right.
We're helping
That's
keep
right.
you
That's
saying,
right.
come
That's
on
right.
now,
That's
come
right.
on now. Now, special thanks to the people who support us on Patreon, starting with Caden Kraut, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Mike Shaplinski, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Babe Gold Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stentrum, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cuts, Jennifer DeVoe, Craw Fishin, Benneth Bennington III, Alexia Benatti, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Ted Cruz's Boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cucker Tarleson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Signs, Aaron and his Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Tated for Content, Corey Chambers, Retro Mondo Veronica, aka V, Raxon, Ash Smith, Murder Norchenko, Casey Lynn Kelly, AK Gon, Iguana Don, Zach Lantian, Austin Greif, Caleb Robert, Taylor Rensack, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Anna Valinic, KCC, Sayas Toes, August, Particular Pikmin, Sir Capilot, Jeff Sines, Brendan Egg, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Munsey, The Wallace 3000, Christy, Kashan Lala, Amanda R, Tyler J, Particulon, Memfrez, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marks, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Four, Lauren, Holt Forsyth, Booty Snakes, Do Fairy, Chell Ceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Gorgeous Girl, Mukes, Brooklyn G, Goldthorn, Addie Book, Merlin, Cryo Bonky, Sergeant Pookie, Hoodie, Rose Grimm, Jamie the Young Extremist, Jack the Heathen, Archer W, Envin Mingo, AJ Torres, Elo Nico, J Call, Seth Schmidt, Noah Sahas, Maja What, Ultra the Dragon, Mercy Boku, Dick Cheney and 6 Inch Heels, Luke Wechter, Henry Kraggles, Tristan Ringsmith, Yaya, Ostro the Atheist, Aiden Reese, Deep State Agent, Puddle Pirate, Southern Lefty, Lark61, Casey, Candyman, Troy H, Rark Muffalo,
Nahan San Diego, Nut Mode, Nick from New Haven, Connor Nick, Sound Logic, Sleven, I've Never Made a Woman Orgasm, John from Houston, Jordino, Haley Weibold, Pablo Vasquez, Nurse Jen, Soul DJ, Maple Big Dog, CIA Small Creators Fund, Taylor from Burnt Down, Minneapolis, Northeast Nick, Aya, Retired AF and SC, Wolfer G, Gayest Worm, Niles Chamberlain, Sugar Free Baja Blast, Chris and the Leftist Nurse, Fake Airplane, TJ Loves Colleen, Mothman's Gay Lover, Real Jesus Christ, Queerla, Carter Gethin, Blue 92, 1000 Miniature Horses, Will Grant, Gay for Jeremy, Hill Libertas, Walter Vander Vogelwide, Rad Dene, Captain Butt P, Cam Toki, Chef Sam, Max Plaquet, Mealy Ducard, Call Me Bubba the Way I Receive Hito, Gina, a platypus named Icarus, K Boo, Brando What, Popo Dilly, Quasi-Pox, Jeremy the Killer, Faded Weapon, Quasar Wrangler, Alexander Shamilton, Liberal Weather Machine, Gnomish Court Jester, A Second Walters Hit the Patreon, Comic Crowhead, Hyena Gale, Sophia, Zeke Young, Sophia Lola, Kip's Mom, Possum Queen, Jagger Stutzman, Michael Arkwright, Mismatched Socks, Pants Pisser 27, Who Do You Poo Poo, Tud Master of Audits, Nate the Great, Young Jeezy, Adlib Enjoyer, Richmond with the lowercase r, Shop Dude, Jonah, Sweet Feet Pete, Dead Roush, Certified Lobotomite, Elegant Crayfish, Kenny Evers, Ferbs, Nurbles, Gerbil, Jaburble,
Huge.
Waffle House Witch, Cosmonaut Moth, Gonzo the Communist Muppet, Vanessa, aka the other V.
Oh no!
The entire state of Indiana. Shout out Mike Pence. I woke up in a cab, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you, and we're so grateful.
We would not be in those seats with the new lighting. That looks great.
Oh my
without
God.
your support. And without further ado, have a great weekend.
We'll see you next time.